Koraidon is the brand new Generation 9 box legendary Pokemon for Pokemon Scarlet. This legendary Pokemon is one of the strongest legendary Pokemon to exist, and Game Freak gave this Pokemon some of the best tools in its competitive kit. And it has the brand new ability Orichalcum Pulse, which turns the field into harsh sunlight whenever the Pokemon enters a battle. And it also boosts its attack stat while active. Today, I wanted to share with you guys what I think the best Koraidon movesets are for competitive doubles VGC, how to work them, and how to get the most out of your Koraidon on the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet ranked ladder. But first, let's start with a quick overview of Koraidon's viability. Like I said earlier, Game Freak spared no expenses when making this Pokemon's stats. Has an attack stat of 135, which hits just as hard as Salamence and Kingambit, however has a better defensive stat as well as speed. Speaking of speed, Koraidon's speed allows it to tie with Qianpao, Fluttermane, and Miraidon. As for its defensive typing, Koraidon has 7 resistances, however a few too many weaknesses, with a weakness to Ice, Dragon, Psychic, and Flying, and a ×4 weakness to Fairy. You would think this Pokemon has a horrible defensive typing. However, Koraidon has coverage moves for every single weakness, which allows it to truly shine when it gets to go Terra. And yeah, this is the mon that you definitely want to terastallize. We'll talk more about those coverage moves in a sec, but let's go talk about that ability real quick, Orichalcum Pulse. Whenever Koraidon comes out to the battlefield, it activates harsh sunlight and also boosts its own attack stat. This ability is great for Koraidon, but also other Paradox Pokemon, specifically the ancient forms. However, that's not where it stops. This ability can also assist with Chlorophyll Mon and other fire type mons that get the boost in damage. Now let's talk about its moves. Like I said before, this thing has amazing coverage. Flare Blitz for ice types, Wild Charge for flying, U-turn, and a pivoting option for psychic types, Dragon Claw for other dragon types, and Iron Head for fairy types. It's pretty well versatile and makes up for its defensive typing, but it also has some other really cool moves like recovery options with Drain Punch, setup options with Bulk Up and Swords Dance, and it even has the potential of slowing down your opponent's support mons with Taunt. Now let's get into the first set. This is a choice band Koraidon with the Jolly nature, which means it's going to maximize its speed as well as taking advantage of its already high attack stat. You see here we have 252 in both speed and attack, with the remaining 4 in special defense. The Terra type we're going for here is Fire, and you might think it's to take advantage of Flare Blitz. However, it's actually to combat opposing burn users, such as Arcanine, who has been extremely relevant. And with a Pokemon with an attack base stat of 135, you don't want to lose your attacking momentum. So that's where the Fire Terra type comes in. On top of that, you also get the boost of Flare Blitz. However, typically how this is used is Koraidon will come into the field first turn, attack with U-turn, boosted Choice Band, get out of there after it's already set up the Sun, and then in its spot, you can bring out an ancient form Paradox Mon to do some tremendous damage. It could be Fluttermane, Brute Bonnet, whatever you want, you name it. And the other 2 moves it has are stab moves for Dragon Claw and Collision Course. Collision Course is good because it's its brand new signature move that does an extra boosted damage if it is super effective against your opponent. So using Collision Course against a Dark, Ice, Normal, Steel, and Rock type, you're going to be doing extra damage on top of your stab boosted damage. And then Dragon Claw is just the better option. The other option that Koraidon has is Outrage. However, Outrage in VGC is never really dependable since you cannot target your opponent. Dragon Claw, you can choose which slot, the left or the right slot. Now moving on to the next set. This one's a little bit different. This one is utilizing its absolute bulk. And now you're probably thinking, this thing doesn't have bulk. What are you talking about? Well, with the item Assault Vest and the EVs distributed this way with 144 in HP, 112 in speed, and 252 in attack, this specific build of Koraidon can survive a ton of potential threats. It is an adamant nature, and its Terra type is Steel, which gives it even tremendous amounts of resistances, but the most important is a resistance to Fairy, which was before a ×4 weakness. And now for the attacking moves, you'll see there are no protects on this set, mainly because we're running Assault Vest and you cannot have any other non-damaging move, but instead of Flare Blitz, we opted for the Flame Charge, a move that gets boosted damage in the sun, which Koraidon already brings out to the field. And on top of that, we'll boost our speed every turn. So whereas we drop the little speed in the EV distribution, we'll be getting back and then some in return with the move Flame Charge. And then the other move that's different on this set is Iron Head to threaten the opposing fairy type Pokemon such as Fluttermane, Screamtail, Gardevoir. With a Terra Steel Iron Head, there are few to none fairy types that can stand that combo. And the final set is another Fire Terra type set. However, this one utilizes Life Orb, so you aren't locked into a single move. It has the same EV distribution as the first one, 252 and 252 in attack and speed, 4 in special defense. It is a jolly nature as well, and it pretty much has all the same moves. However, we dropped the collision course and gave it close combat. So that way close combat is still doing more damage than collision course if it isn't a super effective move. Since there are only 5 types that fighting type is super effective against, it just makes sense that you can do a consistent amount of damage over time, especially with Life Orb and close combat. And the other option is Heavy Slam, because this thing is thick and Heavy Slam does tremendous amounts of damage. Now let's take a look at the allies for Koraidon, and right off the bat, Scovillain really benefits from Koraidon's presence. With Harsh Sunlight activated, Scovillain's speed is doubled due to its own Chlorophyll ability, making any Chlorophyll Mon a great team member. We might even see a potential Venusaur in the future make its way back to VGC once it returns to the console. Another great ally is Ting Lu. It's probably one of the more balanced Ruin Mons, and its ability to reduce Pokemon's special attack is extremely helpful towards Koraidon, since its special defense is one of its weaker stats. And this ally works specifically better with its Assault Vest set. And then we got grimy boy Grimmsnarl, which makes for a tremendous ally, and its Prankster ability with priority status moves, it can instantly get rid of opposing electric terrains with its own Misty Terrain. It can set up screens, and it can even slow down your opponent's momentum. Now you probably guessed that there aren't many counters to the legendary Koraidon. However, speed and type advantage is definitely a counter. With that being said, we have Iron Bundle, who outspeeds Koraidon and can hit it with a super effective Freeze Dry or Icy Wind attack. We have Fluttermane, who gets a boosted stat in Sunlight, which means it has the potential to outspeed Koraidon and then one hit tap it with a Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam. And then a less common one is Gardevoir, who is also Psychic and Fairy type. This thing will almost never outspeed. However, if the Gardevoir is holding a Focus Sash and survives your Iron Head or Heavy Slam, Gardevoir can retaliate with their own Moonblast or even a Psychic attack. 2 types that Koraidon is extremely weak towards. Thanks for watching. That's the end of the guide. I hope this guide was useful to you. Let me know in the comments what you think of the sets. Give me some of your own potential sets for this Pokemon, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next VGC guide. In the meantime, check out this video. But that's all for me for this one. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, take care, KO crew.